What's up guys, welcome to Bullish Bets. On this channel, we cover all things related to stocks and investing. In this video, we're going to talk about the history and experience of John Chen, the executive of Blackberry. Keep in mind that we are not financial advisors and this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Make sure you do your own research before making any investment decisions. So, let's talk about John Chen. As we were doing our research for our last video about BlackBerry and its potential, we found a lot of great things that we could not fit in the video. So we decided to create a series of videos to do a deeper dive into the business. In this video, we're only going to talk about John Chen and his history and his wealth of experience that makes him the prime candidate to take BlackBerry to its all-time high. So let's first look at John Chen's profile. As you can see, he has a lot of experience in terms of board memberships. He's been on the board of Siemens Pyramid Infosystems, the board of CIT Group, the chairman of Sybase, where he was CEO of, the board member of Wells Fargo and Disney. During the periods where these companies experience extreme amount of growth. So this gives him a lot of experience and connections with people who know how to grow companies, and this just puts John Chen in a good spot. He's also the chairman now of BlackBerry and multiple things. He's trustee of California Institute of Tech. He's in the tech space and he knows a lot of people in it. What really stands out is John Chen's experience in computer systems. He's been the CEO and chairman of Siemens Pyramid Infosystems. He was the CEO, president, and chairman of Sybase from 1998 to 2010, where he was able to do a miraculous turnaround and really save the company. And now he's the chairman and CEO of BlackBerry. So I want to go into an interview that John Chen had in regards to his time with Sybase and right before SAP acquired Sybase. So I want to look at this quote. He said, you have to have something that you're uniquely qualified to do. I always ask the question, what is our right to be a company? This shows that his strategy is to focus on one thing and be dominant in that space. For example, John Chen is doing this with BlackBerry now, with security, and their focus right now is obviously in security and the security of digital information. Whether that be their Spark suite, the QNX, the IV. This is all a security system and unified management system for data. So let's go further down into the interview. He continues to talk about something about being somebody that is interesting and worth following. That means you have to do something that other people haven't done yet and that will be meaningful over time. So his goal, his mindset correlates and aligns with what's happened with BlackBerry now. Like I mentioned, Spark Suite, IV, the QNX. These are all products that BlackBerry offers that is exciting and would go very well in the new economy, especially since more data is being collected from everyday items which are being connected to the internet, like the smart home, smart TV, smart watch, and so forth. Everything the data is being sent in to the cloud, and BlackBerry essentially protects that information. And this interview just contains a lot of gold mine of John Chen's belief and how he runs companies. So let's go further on the turnaround for Sybase. They entered an industry where the whole market was only 300 million. Sybase was doing around $1 billion at the time. But what's interesting is Sybase owned almost 70% of the market share. And this is very similar to what's happening now with the QNX. BlackBerry is working with 60 to 70% of the automakers, and they're dominating that market. Like Sybase, it's not a big market right now, but as autonomous cars, EVs, and more computerized vehicles come into the space with the new economy, BlackBerry is going to grow with that market, and their market share is going to maintain the same, but the market size as a whole, they're going to gain revenue from. As we go further into the interview, John Chen talks about how most of the customers that were buying the new product of Sybase were legacy customers. If we go to the quote, he said, we do about 700 million a year in database, roughly 2/3 which is legacy driven. So if you look at it, it's probably about 450 to 500 million out of 1.2 billion revenue. We do about 200 million a year in analytics, and that's brand new. They were selling their new products to legacy customers, people who were already doing business with Sybase. And this is the same, similar to BlackBerry, because BlackBerry had a strong legacy business that John Chen tapped into for cybersecurity. They're still working with the banks, government, and defense, and they offer their new services to them. And let's go further down their interview, because, like I mentioned, this is just full of gold mines with his mindset. So this quote is the exact characterization of what was happening to BlackBerry in the mobile market. He said, "Now I knew that if I continued being the fourth or fifth player in the market, eventually this thing would run out of steam. Life should be more interesting than that. So I said, we've got to win on something." He knew when he went into BlackBerry that they weren't going to beat Apple, they weren't going to beat Samsung, they weren't going to beat the new phones, because they're going to be playing a catch-up game, and it would have been hard for them to win. John Chen decided to pivot the whole company and get into something completely new before BlackBerry went obsolete. I'm sure when he got interviewed for the position of chairman CEO of BlackBerry, the board agreed with him, because BlackBerry was getting slaughtered. If they didn't pivot, they would have slowly gone obsolete. If we go further down and look at Sybase, in 1994, Sybase shares traded at $57, giving it a market value of around $4.4 billion. By 1998, right before John Chen's entrance as the CEO, the stock fell to $9. So John Chen turned Sybase around when it was on the urge of going under. The stock price, like I mentioned, went from $57 to $9, meaning the market value went from $4.4 billion to $700 million. With John Chen's leadership and knack for turning around the company, Sybase sold for $5.8 billion. So Sybase sold for $5.8 billion. That was 8 times the value it was since he took over. It sold to SAP for $5.8 billion. This was a great turnaround. The company was dying at $700 million value, and within a 10-year period, he was able to turn the company around, change the whole business model, and exit for the shareholders. So, in another article John Chen had, he stated, "I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could exploit what we know and skip the generation and go ahead of our competitors and become more relevant? People were laughing at us for getting into mobility so early that they were saying that there was no money. Wireless is just a dream and everyone's losing so much money. We are now the largest enterprise software in the wireless technology." He was saying that about Sybase. There's, like BlackBerry now, what people are saying about the QNX, IV, the IoT, how they're losing money. What they're not seeing is they're not seeing the future and the vision that John Chen has. There's always going to be analysts claiming the turnaround will fail when results aren't immediate. But the reality is turnarounds take time, synergies take time, especially when you're pivoting to the whole company into a different industry. So, with BlackBerry, John continues to act with the belief that, the company stands out, need to stand out and specialize in something specific, And if we look at the acquisitions that BlackBerry made, they were mostly in security. So John Chen was a CEO since 2014, and acquisitions had to do with voice and data encryption, security, enterprise data sync and share, network crisis communication, mobile security provider, cybersecurity, security. So John Chen is transitioning the whole company from a phone company to a cybersecurity company essentially. And with that, he's done a great job in changing the fundamentals of BlackBerry. If we look at the numbers of BlackBerry, the revenue from 2014 to 2020, had a significant drop from 6.8 billion to 1.1 billion, but the fundamentals of the business have changed significantly. It was a business running at a gross margin of 36%, and now the gross margin of BlackBerry is 76%. The adjusted EBITDA was around 3%, and now it's 14%. These numbers alone show that BlackBerry has changed its whole fundamental business and its whole structure of the business and what type of company it is. It's in a whole different industry now. These numbers alone show that BlackBerry deserves a software multiple because, they have software-like profit margins. John Chen, just to summarize this whole video, John Chen has done this before successfully. He has a lot of experience and a lot of connections with his board, his seats on boards. And to reiterate, he's been in the data space, the computer data space. And what his vision is, he has a track record of turning around a company. He has a track record of seeing into the future and getting to a company into something that is new and exciting. And that's what's being done by BlackBerry right now. And it's finally showing some results, but a lot of people are still having doubts. And this video shows that John Chen has that history, and he's able to continue to, successfully turn around the company, which has been done in BlackBerry right now. With all that being said, what do you guys think? Do you think John Chen's history really won't benefit BlackBerry at all? Or do you think that John Chen, is just starting his turnaround and is just showing a little bit of signs of, massive growth in the future? Do you think it's going to hit, $30, $60, or BlackBerry, or even BlackBerry all-time high? Let us know what you think in the comments below. So that's it for this video. If you liked our content, please smash that like button and subscribe. We would really appreciate it, as it helps with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you again very much for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.